You are listening to Spilling the Tea, a real estate podcast with Christy Macero and Sheila Maychek.
Hello everyone, welcome to season 2 of Spilling the Tea. We are your hosts, Christy Macero and Sheila Maychek.
Hello.
Today with us we have Owen Wilson and Shrek.
What?
There's no way you're getting through that.
Shrek.
Owen Wilson and Shrek.
Maybe she means I'm Shrek.
I doubt it.
Okay. In all seriousness, we have well-known realtor Ravine Explorer.
You're not getting through this.
Ravine Explorer, Mr. David Smith from the David Smith Homes Group.
See,
And
I was
our
told this
everyday-
is a very serious
It is
podcast.
a very serious podcast. Sometimes we have the giggles, but we do not start over. And our everyday man, Jeremy Pugh from White Cloud Productions. Oh.
Hello.
Hey guys.
Hey.
When buying a brand new home, there is a process called a deficiency walkthrough.
Yeah,
where
they're going to take that really seriously now, guys.
Yeah.
No, we're getting serious now.
Yeah.
We're buyers of brand new homes. We meet with the builders' representatives to go through the home and ensure everything is finished and up to a new standard. This is a very important meeting, and generally there is a long list of things to go through. Mm-hmm. Deficiencies, which are problems or issues, get noted, and a list of things to fix is made. It is very useful to have an experienced realtor at these meetings because we have the eye and we've done it before. But a lot of people, when they buy at sale centers, they don't have a realtor with them. So it's very important to pay attention to this episode now that we're done laughing through the introduction to learn all about deficiencies. So, just like any product built, especially by humans and not machines, there is a tendency for errors to occur. Nobody is perfect, kind of like this podcast. And sometimes we see this reflected in housing. For example, we sometimes get great builders where each corner is cut perfectly, meaning actually cut perfectly. They're not cutting corners. Sheila highlighted this on my little sheet because I didn't understand that could have been a joke. Anyway, the grout lines are amazing and the walls are straight, but nobody listens to this podcast to hear how well everything goes. Let's talk about the other times we see brand new homes. Oh God, guys, we have the giggles tonight. But nobody listens to this podcast to hear how well everything goes. Let's talk about the other times we see brand new homes that have us floored.
House pun.
House pun.
Well played.
Realtor joke. But before we get into that, we're going to start the way that we always do by firing over Sheila some questions.
Ready.
Have you ever bought something online, sight unseen, and been underwhelmed with how it arrived?
No, I've been pretty fortunate with buying things online, and I'll order weird stuff. Like, I'll see an ad for makeup from Australia that's like a stamp for eyeliner, and I'll order it.
I remember when you did that.
Yeah.
And you were pleased with the product.
I was quite pleased with the product.
You were like, this is as easy as it is.
Yeah, I was like, it's just like the infomercial, guys. Done.
I
It was
love
great.
that.
I'm glad it's worked out for you.
Yeah.
She's not wearing it right now.
No, I used it once and put it away.
Yeah. Jeremy, have you ever bought something online and it arrived not quite what you were expecting?
Yeah, I think every time that's happened to me, though, it's been, there's been a product that I want, and I find one that's like a little bit less money, and I go, it looks just as good. And then I order it,
I
and
did
then
that
it
with
shows up,
patio once. That was a mistake.
the whole patio. Online? No.
Stones and everything.
So, and then, the product arrives, and you're like, I kind of just wish I got the, paid full price for the
Yeah.
one that I wanted initially.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had it happen to me. I remember the moment very clearly. I thought I was buying a mustache comb, like a full-grown man mustache comb,
As you do.
as you do.
Where did you buy yours, Sheila? Sorry.
Wow, savage.
Go on, David.
I just borrowed mine
Shots.
from your mom's house.
And it showed up, and I hope you're watching this on video. And if you're not, then I'll try and explain
Talk
how
it
large
through.
the comb was. The comb came through it, and it was about this size, including the handle.
It's like
It was like
an
a
inch.
Ken doll.
Like a doll.
It was like a doll's
Oh.
Cabbage Patch
mustache
hair
comb.
comb.
Do you
I
still
was-
use it?
No, unfortunately not. No, I don't even know where that
I
went.
imagine that one would be very precise, though.
But that happens. People sometimes order things and it comes in its doll size.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
Right? They think they're getting the full size version,
Yeah.
but there's this huge price
Look at
difference.
this chair. And then it's like, it has to be the real size because it's $200. And they get it. It's like, oh, it's handmade, so
Yeah.
it's $200.
For the
Oh
dollhouse.
my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is kind of crazy. Okay.
Are we getting onto dolls again? Can we not? I thought we covered that in the last podcast.
Every
The David
podcast
theme.
with David is about dolls.
Yeah.
Sheila, what are the kinds of things that we look for when we go to a deficiency walkthrough on new construction?
Everything. Like making sure the door's shut properly. Are the cabinets aligned? Are the tiles grouted? Is there like sealant around the sinks and the bathrooms? And we run things and flush toilets, and we even like run water in the sinks and put the stoppers on, and then we check under the cabinets to see if there's anything leaking. So it's and opening and shutting windows, because half the time you'll get a window to open and then you go to shut it and it's like getting caught or stuck. You're like, this isn't right.
Yeah, that's actually a really good example. And in your eyes, what was the biggest deficiency you've ever come across?
This is one that I had no idea to look for until you brought me to a few walkthroughs, and you pointed them out to builders or the people doing the walkthrough, and it was the garage door coming down, and you held your hand out and you gave it resistance and it didn't pop back up, and I had no idea that would be a deficiency. And the way you explained it was something might be blocking the door but not hitting the foot sensor.
Yeah.
So you need it to be able to bounce back up. And I had no idea that was an issue until you pointed it out.
Yeah, it is a safety feature with garage doors. If you give any tension, it's supposed to pop back up. And builders are like, oh, no, we've never had anyone.
Never heard of
and
that.
I'm like, well, that's the way it goes.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah.
that's pretty basic.
Yeah, and it's an easy thing to fix, which is great. But when you're doing a deficiency walkthrough, the home is supposed to be like ready to go or,
Yeah.
or very close to it.
Right.
So to me,
Yeah.
it's just a safety item.
And I think I was just shocked because by that point they had already done like 50 other home walkthroughs on this development, and we were the first ones to bring it up.
This is why they don't like realtors
No.
sometimes. Especially conscientious ones.
Which
Yeah.
we will get into because that's a total thing. It's a total thing. It's kind of strange. When I first started real estate, I had the opportunity of like everyone's dream, where you join a brokerage and somebody comes along and says, hey, I could really use your help on a project. Would you like to come do some open houses, and I'll put your name on the listings and you can have 4 listings. So I was one of the first people with 4 listings, like brand new single family homes in a new development in Yorkson, and I loved it. I was so excited to take part in it. But the market was a little different then. It was a little bit quieter. So I spent a lot of weekends in open houses by myself, reading or whatever. But the longer you spent in these open houses without people around, the more you notice. The more you can see that the windowsill is slightly off. And the more that you can see that the grout lines aren't really perfect. And the straw that broke the camel's back for me was I was standing in the living room and I had a clipboard and a pen. And my pen fell off and it rolled all the way across the kitchen through the dining room, and it just kept going. Like that sucker had some like force.
Oh no.
So at that moment I was like, you know what, I've kind of seen enough that I don't want to be associated with these properties, and I moved to take my name off of the listings because I decided that's not how I wanted to start my career. Because when you see things like that, it's hard to ignore them.
Yep.
Yeah.
These are huge purchases. At that time, those houses were $750,000 for a brand new home. Like, it was major money. So
Yeah, and you kind of have to weigh like, oh, this is a great opportunity and I can get paid and get money for it, versus
Reputation.
I don't really believe in this product
Yeah.
and I'm affiliating myself with it.
totally.
Yeah.
So new construction, when we go with, and this is why we tell everybody, hire a realtor when you go into a sales center, because when they have a deficiency walkthrough, typically those sales centers, they say you're allowed to bring one person with you. And that sucks because usually you want to bring like your mom or your dad or your family member or your friend, but you also have your realtor, and your realtor really needs to be at those appointments. And we've had situations where we won't be CC'd on the email for the walkthrough, and then we'll
Yeah.
have to point it out after saying, no, we're coming with you. And like, we don't count as people. We're not your guests. We're your agents. So we show up at...
I have 2 stories on that. So,
Okay.
do you know how I bought my first ever home?
No.
Have we ever talked about this? Jeremy
I
knows.
know.
Yeah. Well, Amanda, my wife, said to me, let's go get some bread. And so we were driving along 64th Avenue in Cloverdale, and we drove past these townhouses that we'd seen going up. And we weren't shopping for a house. We were living in a basement suite. We'd been in a basement suite for 5 years.
You shop for bread.
We were going out shopping for bread, and she was like, I like the look of those townhouses. They had these really cool shingles on them and stuff. So we turned left on 188th, and then I turned left again, and then we were in front of the sales center, and half an hour later I'd signed a contract to buy a townhouse. And
Amanda's a mastermind.
yeah, she is. She's a genius.
She's
Just
She's
how
a
to buy
genius.
cars.
And I had no idea what was going on. We had no representation. It was at the time where the developer could apparently, afford agency to both the buyer and the seller.
Right.
So it was limited dual agency, and I had no clue what I was doing at all. But I accidentally bought a house that way.
You thought you were getting sourdough, instead you got hooked by the shingles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then it didn't complete on time. I didn't get to do the deficiency walkthrough. I didn't have anybody looking out for my interests on that. It wasn't good. Ended up completing an escrow, and I still, up until very recently in real estate, I didn't have a clue what that even meant.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, I would always say have representation.
Yeah, absolutely. What's your second story on that?
I don't remember.
Okay, that's no
Okay,
problem.
we can
if
circle
you remember,
back.
we'll come back.
It'll come back.
Yeah.
So the reason why that's important is because David, now being the professional he is and understanding how important that role is in his own personal experience. Now he's a realtor, he gets to do that for other people. So you had a client recently that went into a new construction deficiency walkthrough, and I would love to hear if you were involved in that transaction from the
Sure.
very beginning.
Yeah. So this is an ongoing situation, and I do not yet know whether or not it goes legal or not. So I'll be very vague
Yes.
on a number of the details. But yes, I had been working with this client at this point we've been working together for years. I was there at the sales center. I was there for every appointment. Walked through the contract. In fact, there's even a copy of the signed contract in my file where I've gone through and highlighted all the risks, and this client has initialed off on all those risks, and a lot of the risks were related to the finishing and what a developer could and could not do. And it's not just this situation, I've seen all kinds of things in developers' contracts, because most of the public aren't aware that the developers are under a completely different legislation than the resale market, which we would often be dealing in. They're under the Real Estate Developers Marketing Act, and that act allows their own lawyers to draft the contracts. So everything is serving the developer. So I highlighted all those risks. Client went into it all with his eyes wide open. I was on time for the appointment, but the client had arrived a little bit early. The elevator wasn't yet working, so I called up. I was in the building. I was looking around. I called the client and I said, "Where are you guys?" The client said, "We're in the unit already," and I could just hear in his voice that he wasn't happy, and he was there with the developer's representative. So I walked up all the stairs, and I got there, and I walked in, and I saw the client, and he said, "It's all the wrong color scheme. The entire unit." So
So when he went with you to write that initial
Two choices,
contract,
two
and were they
choices.
really different?
very different,
Okay.
very clear. You have your samples of what it's going to
Yeah.
look like in the tiling and on the cabinets.
boards
and on
usually.
the sample boards and everything. The client had done an amazing job taking pictures of everything, and we obviously have it in the contract. What we have, the entire thing is wrong. So
Wow.
So it's not like there's a material that they ran out of and they had
No.
to change it.
No.
It
Which
was
would be understandable.
understandable.
and that would certainly be reserved in pretty much
Yeah.
any contract.
Yes.
Right.
The way that the contracts are being drafted now, though, by many developers at least, they can make a change to whatever for whatever reason, almost carte blanche.
Congrats, you maybe bought a new place.
Yeah.
So that poses an issue for sure, because he or she would have walked in right away and been like, "This is entirely wrong."
Yep.
And they would have communicated that with the staff before you walked in. So
We stopped the deficiency walkthrough right then and there because almost everything needed to be replaced.
Yeah.
And we're a couple of months later now at this point, and unfortunately the developers kicked the can down the road and we don't have a solution in sight. We've been trying to push for a meeting with the developer, and we're going to continue pushing for a meeting with the developer, but it's very, very frustrating, unfortunately. And the client has been a champion. He has been even more patient than I have been. In fact, significantly more patient than I've been.
Because
But-
that's tricky, because if they were planning on moving in right away, and I'm just going to assume that they weren't.
and it's
because-
already a delayed completion.
Right.
And typically,
As
like, your
most are.
deficiency walkthrough is, like, you're not too far off from moving in.
No.
Like, everything's basically done.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually you're just waiting for like permits and stuff
Yep.
by the
The
end
city
of that.
stamp.
And maybe a final clean, but it's already been
Yeah.
cleaned once. Like, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that sucks.
That would be an extreme one.
Yeah.
That would be an extreme
And
one.
how did the staff member in that situation react to hearing that it wasn't correct?
I think there was significant deflection.
Ah.
Well, we'll have to talk to the developer.
Okay.
And
Like, don't shoot the messenger. I
Yeah.
didn't build it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Cool. Okay. And then how did you diffuse that situation with your client? Because obviously that would be
The client was incredible. Like
Just took it well?
yeah.
Okay.
He pretty much had to diffuse me.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
that's
Yeah.
not entirely true, but the reality is, like, because we've done this so many times now,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we've worked with developers so many times, and not all developers are bad. In fact, I did say before we started recording, like, I wanted to share. I have gone to a deficiency walkthrough with one developer in particular, Diverse Properties. It was to Cinema District in Abbotsford. The developer's representative was so good. He had already done his own deficiency walkthrough.
Yeah.
I could see the little pieces of green painter tape everywhere, showed me his checklist, anything that I could find on top. Like, it was incredible. He was absolutely, we'll get that taken care of. Everything was taken care of on our possession day. Like, just amazing. So there are good developers
Yeah.
out there.
Of course.
Yeah,
But I
right.
think we've now had so many experiences with bad developers who will just try and get away with whatever they can get away with, that I've definitely learned that you have to be a little bit more aggressive to get where you need to go
Right.
with the
Yeah.
developer. And we will find a solution for it, but it's not pleasant for anybody, and I feel for the client.
Yeah.
I've seen a spectrum too. Like, you'll see walkthroughs where they get you in, and you really shouldn't be there. Like, things just are not done.
Yeah.
Like, we're missing all
Because
of the
they're
missing
trying
stove.
to
Right.
rush their occupancy.
Yes.
And,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, and there's a lot of factors like financing. There's all kinds of factors that play into this. But sometimes you come in and it is like you have to wear your shoes because there's still like dirt all over the floor, and or it's
Right.
so done that it's an experience like David's where you go in and it's like it's beautiful and you don't have anything to worry about.
Yeah.
But that's why we're here to help the public. So
Can I share a funny one?
Yeah, please.
So this one happened in Langley. It was a townhouse. My client had purchased it, and he's since lived there for a number of years. And this one all worked out, so I can speak openly about this one. Client drives an electric vehicle, very important to us. That certain chargers were installed and that kind of thing. We're like, okay, well, it's not the right charger, yada yada yada. We're going back to them on that. So we're working our way through our list of the optional add-ons that we've got with the developer, right? One of those add-ons is built-in vac. And it's not just like roughed-in built-in vac, it's built-in vac, including the motor and everything else, right? So we're looking around all over the house, and I'm like, I haven't seen any of like the hosing or whatever, like for the built-in vac system.
Because those
So-
run internally on the
Yeah.
wall.
internally,
wall.
right?
Yeah.
So I then go down into the garage, which is where I'm expecting to see the motor, and nope, there is not like a canister. There is not anything. All there is in the entire house was a little kind of 90-degree angle, like junction going through the drywall between the garage and the closet.
Oh no.
And we're talking like it's this size.
Yeah.
It's tiny. That is all there is. And the developer with a straight face tried to tell me that constituted a roughed-in built-in vac system. And I was
The
there
one
with the clutch.
piece of pipe.
One piece of pipe. One piece
Oh.
of pipe. And I'm there with my client and the client's father. Both of them are very serious individuals, as am I. And we just fell about laughing. We're like, this is absolutely insane that you're trying
Yeah.
to pass this off. And we just had to fight our corner, and eventually the developer gave in. But that is the kind of thing that some unscrupulous developers will try and pass
Yeah.
off as acceptable.
This is fine. Just sign here.
Yeah, and if you
Yeah.
don't have someone pushing, like,
Yes.
you
Yeah.
do not sign off on a deficiency
Yeah.
sheet
No.
until you're happy. Like,
Yeah.
you need someone with a bit of experience that knows how to handle
Yeah.
I
that
always tell
situation.
people like, don't sign anything. Don't sign
Yes.
anything.
So for people who have never been to a deficiency walkthrough before, you typically go in and the sales representative, they might have a piece of paper and they have a checklist that they might go through, and they'll have pieces of tape, and you get to like put it on the wall, but you can't like. You're supposed to like stand a few feet back from the wall.
Yeah.
And then
It's
if
like
you
a
can still
meter.
see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like when you walk around the car after you rent it, be like, oh, we only
To the
take
naked
this
eye, you're not allowed to
Yes.
squint or
You
find
know-
an
Yeah,
angle.
No
yeah.
magnifying glasses, stuff like that. And then at the end of it, you sign off on the sheet of paper saying like, this is the list of deficiencies, and we'll make sure that we come back and correct them.
And a lot of developers don't necessarily want realtors there.
No, they don't.
Because we know.
We're nitpicky.
Yeah, and we're careful and
Yeah.
we check things. And whenever I go there, I'm always like super polite, like, thank you so much for having me. Like, you take the lead, because the last thing they want is some realtor going in there and like pushing around the appointment, because real estate agents have big personalities. So I kind of get it from their point of view as well.
Yeah.
But
I think there's a concern on their part as well that they feel like the realtor is going to try and prove their value
Yes.
by finding
Yeah.
a problem.
Right,
I
right.
think
It's
so
like
too.
when Papa
Yeah.
Bear comes to the home inspection and it's like your young client and their dad shows
Yeah.
up and he's like, oh, I don't know about these plumbing pipes. Like,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you don't. you know?
Well, exactly.
But like he's trying to display value
Yeah.
to them, and they're concerned that a realtor lacking knowledge might try and do the
Yeah,
same.
they might
Right,
come in
right.
like a cowboy and try to like you said, try to prove their worth.
Yeah.
And we go in and we're very like, oh, we're just, here, oh, it's your show, haha. And then and then when we're inside, that's when we turn into psychopaths.
Yeah.
We divide and conquer.
We literally, we will turn every light switch. We will
Yeah.
run the hot and the hot and cold water. And I found them like switched before, where
Yeah.
it's like this side's hot and this side's cold. And I just know that these are not things that my client's going to do, like bathrooms without locks on them, and like
Yeah.
little, or turning on the heat registers and
Yeah.
Checking
So-
all the locks,
all the
caulk under the sinks.
Yes.
Like that is
Yeah,
missed
yeah.
so
All the
often.
time.
Yeah.
Especially with all
toilets-
the undermounts now. Like, nobody
Yeah.
looks.
Toilets are almost never sealed.
Yeah, we always
Yeah.
jiggle the toilet to see
Yeah.
if it, and then and we go through and we jiggle everything.
Yeah.
We jiggle everything.
Just go ahead and shake every
We
bit of that.
basically, like we're like shaking all the cupboards and we look crazy and we try to.
Yeah.
I hope no developers are listening. They're going to be calling their lawyers. We got to have an anti-jiggle clause.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Added to all our contracts.
Yeah.
We
No
check-
wiggling
We
allowed.
do. We check absolutely everything, and
Yeah.
so. But we were involved in a condo sale recently. We had 3 buyers in there. It was a pre-sale. And we'd had the 3 completions, and we were told by the staff that we were one of the only realtors that actually showed up
That's
to
crazy.
the deficiency walkthroughs.
Yeah.
Which I think is such a disservice.
I have green painter tape in my car just in case
Yeah,
I
we
get
do
called
as
to a
well.
deficiency walkthrough.
That's right.
I actually had a developer recently tell me that I wasn't allowed to use my own green painter tape. I had to use
We
their
weren't either.
green
Yes.
painter tape. I was like, oh, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, we were told, they were like, oh, no, we have our own. So obviously somebody went nuts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Someone's
so
brought duct tape to a deficiency
Yeah.
walkthrough
That's
Yeah.
before.
There's
Yeah.
missing paint now. Gee,
Yeah.
I wonder.
Peeled it off.
Yeah.
So, Jeremy, just hearing that story, can you imagine going into a condo or a house or something that you've bought and it being completely the wrong color?
It would be so disappointing,
Right.
especially if you're moving into the place and it's not like an investment property,
Yeah.
because you start picturing yourself living there
Yeah.
as
You're
you're
buying
packing
rugs
up.
and couches.
Totally.
Yeah.
And then you walk in the first time you ever see it and it's all wrong. That would be devastating.
Yeah.
And what sucks is that I think you brought up this point before, like how many people would have had to see it, like
Yeah.
through that building process.
Yeah, that was one of the first things I thought of when I heard this story. I used to be a project manager, and there had to have been at least 12 people
Yeah.
probably
Yeah.
that had their eyes on the plans, what the color scheme was supposed to
Yeah.
be,
There's a checklist.
and somewhere along there it went wrong, and everyone was like, let's just roll with it,
Yep.
which is like so sad.
It's like, I wonder if they'll notice.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they noticed.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
that,
yeah.
well, some color schemes are like, black cabinets versus white cabinets. Like,
Yeah.
there's no
They're
in
almost
between.
always dark and light.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
right. Okay, and then what, you can obviously speak to this because you're not licensed and you don't, it's okay for you to assert your opinion here as an everyday man. What do you think the correct course, like recourse would be or should be for a client if that were to occur?
Like there's signed contract with the color scheme all picked out.
It's
You
in
bet.
the contract.
That is-
purchase and sale.
Wild to me. So, I mean, obviously it's going to cost the developer a lot to replace everything. For me personally, I would be happy with like a different unit option, or like some kind of like payout,
Yeah,
like, hey,
reduction in price.
like we're super sorry about this. We'll reduce the price
Say
by
a
X
kitchen's
for
like
you.
30 grand.
Totally.
Yeah, and the thing is it's always going to cost the consumer more
Yes.
than it would cost the developer. So if the developer's not going to do it,
That's right.
then we're going to come after them closer to what it would cost us
Right.
than what it's going to cost them, because we
Yeah.
don't have the same resources.
Yeah, you
Totally.
can either rectify it with all the supplies and inventory that you have and
Yeah.
can source,
'Cause
or
they
we can
bulk
try
order.
our best.
They bulk order. Like a
Yeah.
lot of
Oh, yeah.
developers, they
Sometimes
bulk.
years in advance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one thing you need to check on a deficiency walkthrough. Like
Yeah.
this would be an example of why having an experienced professional is helpful. Like check the serial numbers and the ages of the appliances. Like
Yes.
some of the big developers
Yeah.
can warehouse appliances for years.
Right.
Years. And then the warranty comes into dispute. There's all kinds of things that can happen
Yes,
there.
that's another
Right.
thing. So we know unless it's got occupancy permit, like that, like when they get the keys, that's when you sign home warranty.
Yeah.
You do not sign it before that, because we've seen new construction where the home warranty's kicked in and then someone doesn't move in for 2 years because
Yeah.
it's like a slow market or whatever, and the home warranty's already
It's
gone.
running.
Right.
So it's quite something. So David, have you ever been told you can't attend a walkthrough, or have you ever had issues trying to
Yes.
get to those appointments?
Yes, and I've had clients who have responded incredibly well. Again, I've had in 2 instances in the contract, it said only 2 people may be permitted
Yeah.
at the deficiency walkthrough. And they were sticking to their guns on it. They're like, well,
They had
just
a
because,
bouncer at the door.
just because you're an agent of the principals, in this case, the 2 people that are purchasing, you're not permitted to be on site. And in 2 instances, it's been a couple purchasing, and one of them has said to the other, you know what, David's going to be more useful at the appointment. I'm not going to go to the deficiency walkthrough. I want you to go with David.
Which is
and I got
absurd.
to attend
Yeah.
anyway.
Do you think,
Yeah.
like,
No one
Yeah.
should have to do
like
that.
we're talking
Yeah,
hundreds
totally.
of thousands of
I
dollars,
know.
and like
Yeah.
both
And
buyers
what do
can't be there.
I don't know what the developers think they're achieving by not having both members of the family there
Yeah.
and their realtor. Like,
That's right.
it was very obvious at that point that they wanted me to be there. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's not like the wife or the husband is going to all of a sudden give a lot more feedback that they weren't expecting.
Yeah.
They
Right.
should have just bent, but at that
Yeah.
point,
Honey, wait downstairs. We'll switch in 30.
And I can understand, because like there are some, like you said, there's cowboy realtors that go in and try to prove their value by
Yeah.
pointing out every little tiny thing, and then there's also clients that are completely crazy when it comes to everything being totally perfect.
it can't, and it's never ever going to be that. And so I think preparing the client as well is very important.
Yes,
but there should just be a certain minimum standard.
And then sometimes you get surprised with little free bonuses on your walkthrough. I remember the one townhouse we went to, and the clients walked in and they go, "We have the glass shower."
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Jackpot.
Yeah, it was
Like-
it was a $1,500 upgrade
Yes.
to have a frameless glass shower.
Yeah.
It was Bose Farms.
Yes. They're
They're
like
townhouses.
They're like,
Oh,
no, we
nice.
can't do that. No, we're not going to pay for that upgrade. They walk into the unit and they've got the glass shower.
Yeah, they did
That's
not
a
pay for
good
that
mistake.
upgrade.
Yeah, it was a great
I think
absolutely.
the builder just started putting it in. And
Same
it
thing
was-
with microwave trim kits. One developer
Yeah.
just started including them instead of charging the $660 or whatever.
yeah,
Everyone just got them.
for a piece of metal that goes around, they're charging $600.
Yeah.
And then
No
yeah.
way.
So it's nice, you know.
That's nice.
Thank you.
I
Yeah.
wonder if like the shower doors on the developer's side, if they realize pretty quickly like, oh, it's way faster for us to install these.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there has to be a reason.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
there had to be a reason.
And
Or
always
there's
money
somebody
is the
really
root of
angry
it.
on the other side of the wall that wanted that and
Yeah.
didn't have it.
Yeah,
Those
yeah,
are very
totally.
smart people.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could have done the math. It could be a
Right.
time versus value thing.
Yeah.
For sure. Jeremy, knowing that there are a limited number of people sometimes allowed to a walkthrough, and say it's you, your wife, and David
Yeah.
at this condo.
That sounds awesome.
Little chuckle.
It sounds amazing.
Hi, Sherry.
Yeah. Is Sherry third wielding? Is she gone? She's the third wheel. She's
Oh,
out
it's
of
me
there.
and Sherry doing the walkthrough.
Oh, yeah.
Jer's
Yeah.
not even
Yeah.
invited at
No.
that point.
It,
no.
that is actually how it would go. And it wouldn't even like the thing is Sherry wouldn't even ask me.
Nope.
Yeah.
She'd be like, Dave and I have the deficiency walkthrough.
We're gonna take care of this.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't even get invited on the calendar.
Yeah,
invite
no,
out. Yeah.
I wouldn't even know it was
Honey,
happening.
what's this? Never you mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's great. That's good. That's fantastic. I love that. So basically, at the end of the day, some build products are amazing when you go in and everything is absolutely perfect. Well, for the most part, and some things not. It's another good reason to hire a realtor who can go through these appointments with you. And if the builder is sticky about how many people are there, advocate that your realtor attends. Make sure that they know that your realtor is an important part of your transaction, that is who you hired to represent you, and they need to be there. And understand that deficiencies happen.
Mm-hmm.
And the crazy thing about these contracts is that if you have a long deficiency list, if you hit completion and it's not done, they don't have to have it done to you. It has to be done within a reasonable amount of time.
Yeah.
So my I think it was my parents' house. They had to redo the drawers, what do you call them? No slam drawers?
The soft close?
Soft close,
Yeah.
thank you.
No slam. I
No,
like that.
no,
No
anger.
slam.
I always say
It's like a
The
cheap
calm
knockoff
kitchen.
version.
The anti-anger drawers.
yeah.
TM.
Ironically, they were ordering these from Germany, and so like they were getting stuck in transit. So unfortunately, they had to be subbed out, but they couldn't actually get there from Germany on time for
Yep.
the anti-anger
Right.
kitchen drawers. Yeah.
Right.
So it's something that we as realtors have to explain to our clients, kind of who we're working with, what they're dealing with, because developers sometimes product runs out, sometimes they have to make substitutions, and then advocating to be there for your client when those things happen. It's an extreme situation where someone walks in and their entire scheme is wrong. But deficiencies do happen. People are human. Mistakes do occur. So hire a good realtor, and that's everything. Thank you so much for coming out to talk about deficiencies,
Thanks
guys.
for having us out.
Thank
Cheers.
you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, and we apologize for the giggles at the beginning of the episode.
You
We got there.
should. We did.
Thank you for listening to Spilling the Tea, a real estate podcast with Christy Macero and Sheila Maycheck.